This video is going to be about how I run a wholesale real estate company while being able to travel the world full-time as a digital nomad. So if you've thought about becoming a digital nomad, getting into real estate and being able to travel the world, stick around because this video is going to break down exactly how I do it, give you guys some tips and tricks on what you guys can implement, what to look for when starting this business, and how you can transition into doing it. But first, before we get into that, let's head over to the gym. So before we dive into how I run the wholesale business, one of the cool things about wholesaling real estate is that it really is perfect for being a digital nomad. You can do it 100% remotely. You never have to go actually see the houses. You don't have to go swing a hammer. You can do every single aspect of it remotely. Whether it comes down to finding sellers, finding buyers, getting signatures, getting closings completed, all that kind of stuff, you can do it all 100% from your laptop and some internet connection. Personally, for us, what we do for lead generation is we primarily have virtual assistants that make cold callers for us. They then generate the leads, send them over into our CRM, and then we call the homeowners, run our numbers, make our offers, and try and get some contracts signed that way. So obviously, yes, can you go do it in your own market and drive for dollars and go try and find houses that way? Absolutely. But if you want to travel, there's tons of other opportunities and other methods of getting leads virtually. For example, if you're just getting started out in our community, Freedom Fundamentals, we do have a lead provider that's exclusive for Freedom Fundamental members, and it's $100 for 25 qualified off-market seller leads. The great thing about that is the leads are already generated, so you don't have to do a bunch of cold calling, you don't have to go driving for dollars, you don't have to do any of that. The leads are just there, and then it's your job just to close them. And then ideally what you would do is you'd close a deal and then take the funds from that, hire 1 to 2 virtual assistants, and you're off to the races. And here's the crazy part. Obviously, it depends on where in the world you live, but if you live in places like what I typically choose, Mexico, Southeast Asia, different parts of Europe, whatnot, for the majority of the time, the cost of living is substantially less than the United States. Now, I'm not saying, just go work less and do less deals, but if you wanted to comfortably travel the world, you could very, very easily do that on a deal a month. If you want to be balling on a budget, you could do it on 5 to 6 deals a year, because in certain countries, you can pretty comfortably live on $1,800 to $2,000 a month with rent, transportation, food, restaurant excursions, all that kind of stuff. And then if your average wholesale check is $10,000 to $15,000 and the cost of living is $2,000, one deal gets you 5 months. Now, obviously, there's other expenses, like your business operating expenses. You have to set aside money for taxes, so not really 5 months, but even if we say one deal every 3 months, that's still a pretty good ratio. As far as finding buyers and schedule walkthroughs, all of that kind of stuff can be done remotely as well. You just schedule the showings with the homeowner, tenant, have the house on lockbox, or whatever the situation may be. Title companies are all virtual, email, DocuSign, wire transfers, etc. So there's not a single aspect of this business that you have to be in person to be able to complete a deal, which is why it's so great for if you want to be a digital nomad and travel the world. With doing this all virtually, there are definitely a couple key players that you need to have, a couple key things that you need to be aware of and think of and make sure that you have in your team. Some of those things are going to be some form of paid lead generation. Now, can you do it for free? Absolutely. If you want to come to Mexico and sit on a power dialer all day and make cold calls, you can 100% do that. But what I would recommend is to work your way up to having a budget to hire a virtual assistant or go to some PPL provider, which is pay per lead, and just have the leads come to you. So then your only responsibility is to negotiate with homeowners and sell deals. As you continue to grow, you can eventually then hire out the acquisitions and hire out the dispositions. So all you're in charge of is ensuring that all the closings go as planned, which you can honestly pass off to a transaction coordinator, and then make sure that your acquisitions and your disposition managers are doing what they're supposed to do on the day-to-day basis. As far as getting contracts signed electronically, internally we use Dotloop. It's my absolute favorite. You can also use DocuSign, PandaDocs, or really any other e-signature platform, because all those effectively do the same thing. They get contracts signed for you electronically, which all you need is internet, which I conveniently have right here on the beach. And then as far as getting photos taken, what you can do is you can either have the seller take them, you can have the tenant take them, you can go on thumbtack.com and hire a handyman and just give him instructions. You can hire a photographer or hire a company like homejab.com, go to their website, have them take them. And then for facilitating showings, have the buyer go meet the seller, have the buyer meet the tenant. If it's vacant, figure out a way to get a lockbox on the property. But I can tell you from experience, so far, having done virtual wholesaling for 4.5 years now, I have never had a situation where it has been impossible to get a buyer into a property. There is some kind of workaround that enables you to do so. And obviously, the best part of wholesaling, getting paid, wire transfers. The title company just needs your bank account information, your account and routing. They send it straight to your bank account, gets deposited, and boom. No need to go to a title company to pick up a check. No need to have a check mailed to you or anything like that. They can just send it straight to your bank account whenever it does close. And realistically, guys, that's the virtual setup. That is how you can wholesale real estate from a place like this, is get the right team in place, get the right systems, softwares, and tools, and then all you need is internet to be able to do deals from locations like this. So as far as the setup that I currently run and that me and my business partners run, is I do have business partners that help out on the day-to-day of running the wholesale operation. We do have cold callers and we do have some other employees that run different aspects of the business like dispositions, etc., and acquisitions. Can you still do this if you're a one-man band traveling the world by yourself trying to run your entire wholesale company on your own? Absolutely. You're gonna have to put in more hours because you're gonna be wearing more hats, right? If you have someone running dispositions or acquisitions for you, then you don't have to put time in to do that. But if you're doing 100% of it, then you would obviously have to put the work in to be able to do that. One of the biggest things that I would stress for you to do is really try to outsource lead generation so that you do not have to be generating your own leads by yourself via cold calling or whatever the situation may be. If you guys do want to hire cold callers, the company that we work with that we recommend is linked down in the description. It's a free call just to get some information on it, see if they're a good fit for you, and then you just have the leads pumping into your system right when they start. And once you do get back to the Airbnb, I am gonna break down some of the main things that I would focus on if you're trying to get into it yourself as far as picking a country. What are some things to look out for, things to be cognizant of, and we're gonna go from there. So I will see you guys back at the apartment. Back in the apartment, so I want to go over a couple of the things that I think are most important when you're deciding on a country to go to. So we're going to list the top couple different things. Number one, time zone. Time zone. It is very challenging, especially as a one-man band, to try and run a wholesale operation from somewhere in the world that is a 12-hour time difference. It is tough. So places like Central America, South America, the Caribbean, other places like that, some of the Caribbean islands, Jamaica, Bermuda, all that kind of stuff, those places are great options time zone wise. And then when we're looking towards Europe, Portugal, Azores, all that kind of stuff, more closest to the US is gonna only be 4, 5, or 6 hours ahead. So if you do those, one of the benefits of that, because I've done Europe for a handful of different months, is your workday doesn't start until later in the afternoon. So the plus side is you have the mornings to go explore, go putz around, kind of see what's going on. Downsides is you're typically working during dinner hours, which means it's harder to go enjoy the nighttime scenery. If you like going out and partying, not really gonna work super well with that time zone unless it's weekends, which if you're running your company, you probably shouldn't be partying on a Tuesday night anyway. That's just something to keep in mind, is the time zones, knowing how it lines up with your time zone that you're currently in, and then adjusting for the time difference, and understanding you are probably gonna have to work odd hours. Unless of course you stay in Central America, South America, the Caribbean, etc. That's all borderline the same time zone, plus or minus 1 to 2 hours. That's pretty easy to manage. But once you start getting 4, 5, 6, 7 hours ahead, that's where you're gonna be working late into the nights, typically 1, 2 a.m. plus or minus. Which honestly sounds bad. It's really not that bad. If you just sleep in until 9:30 or 10, you can still get 8 hours of sleep. Going to bed at 2, you have until maybe 3, 4, 5 p.m. plus or minus, depending on how many hours ahead you are. But if you're in Eastern time and you go somewhere like Greece or Italy, those places are both 7 hours ahead. So 9 a.m. in Eastern time, United States, is 4 p.m. over in Italy and Greece. So that means you basically have until when you wake up until about 4 p.m. to get started on your workday at that 9 a.m. mark. Just remember, when you're looking at countries, time zone. Number 2, arguably one of the most important things, internet speed. There are some countries that have amazing internet, some countries have really not very good internet, and that can be a real pain in the butt. Pro tip, one thing you need to do is before you book an Airbnb, that's typically how I book all of my stays, message the hosts of the Airbnbs that you're looking at ahead of time and see if they can send you the Wi-Fi speed and ideally even a screenshot of the test being completed so you can verify there is good connection wherever it is that you're traveling to. Last thing to consider pretty seriously is safety. There are some countries that are really not the safest, especially for expats and digital nomads. Personally, I've never been in any kind of dangerous situation. Obviously, being a larger male, that's less of a concern. So if you're a smaller female or maybe a smaller guy, might be more of a concern for you. But for the most part, all the countries that I've been to, I've had zero issues with any kind of feeling unsafe or sketchy areas or anything like that. And then bonus things to think about is what kind of climate do you like? What kind of activities do you enjoy? Are you like me, where it's tropical beach vibes? You like being by the ocean? You like swimming, snorkeling, scuba diving, stuff like that? Then, obviously look in the Caribbean, South America, all that kind of stuff. If you like hiking, then maybe certain parts of Europe or certain parts of South America could be amazing. If you like the cold, the Swiss Alps could be beautiful. But just stuff to think about is because you are going to be living in another country, right? Obviously, you still run your company, you're still working, but you're also there to live and explore, especially if you go somewhere that's 4, 5, 6, 7 hours ahead and you have the better part of the day in the beginning to go explore. Ideally, you'd pick somewhere with activities and stuff that you would like to do. And then of course you have the weekends. If you do decide to take those off, you have the weekends. You can go on some crazy fun excursions. One of my favorite ones that I've done thus far has been snorkeling with whale sharks down here in Mexico. Unfortunately, at the time of this recording, it's not the season for them right now, so I can't go do it again, but I did it in May of 2024 and absolutely one of the best decisions I've ever made. Booking lots of excursions can obviously increase the amount of money that you're gonna be spending, but I would highly recommend setting aside a bit of an excursion budget so you have that in the account ready to go so you can go explore and see all these amazing different sites that all these different countries have to offer. If you are looking into being a digital nomad and doing it while wholesaling real estate, comment down below what's the #1 country you guys want to visit first. I hope you guys found this video helpful. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.